going on, everybody? Welcome into Vikings Now by Chat Sports. Coming up on today's show, I have 3 moves the Vikings can make right now to help them clear up cap space and possibly sign some big-time free agents. And hey, second half of today's show, we're going to be looking at the top free agents that are still available out there on the market. But before we dive into that, guys, if you guys just want the Vikings to make one move, just make one more move. I'm not saying 2, 3, 4, 5. Just make one more signing. Make one more move. All you got to do, just drop a like on today's video. So 3 ways the Vikings can create some cap space. Number 1, and the most obvious one, and this is the move I want the Vikings to get done, ASAP, and that's extending number 18, Justin Jefferson. I know a lot of people are kind of freaking out, like, why isn't this deal done yet? He didn't show up to OTAs yesterday. He also didn't show up last year. Nothing, came of that. But Kevin O'Connell was on the Kay Adams show and kind of piped down some of the noise about Jefferson's, contract drama, saying, I know everything's going to get worked out there. Justin knows the love and admiration that I have for him, and he knows he's such a big part of what we do around here. That's on the field. That's off the field. He brings such a great energy to our building every single day, and he's the ultra competitor as far as when he steps between the white lines. And a deal will get done, and we just need to be patient on this. There is a part of how the Vikings do set up their contracts. They most likely will wait till July 31st, so that's why everybody be patient. Actually, Dan Graziano of ESPN alluded to this point, saying there's a number of reasons to think an extension might take until closer to the season. The Vikings have a policy with their signing bonuses where July 31st is kind of a key date, and they might not want to wait, or they might want to wait until after that. So, yeah, I don't expect the deal to get done until after July 31st. So, it's going to be a little shaky once that July 31st, date does come around, and we're talking the first couple weeks of August, and if he's still not extended, then obviously some panic will be, will be setting in for Vikings fans. But as it stands right now, I'm not nervous at all. And I think Kwesi's going to have to get creative with this deal here. Because we got Jamar Chase. He is eligible for extension also this summer. Will the Vikings want to, get Jefferson's deal done before Chase's? For then, let's just say Chase gets $33 million a year. Jefferson's going to put that contract down and say that's where we start. We just saw A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Both of those guys getting big-time deals of $30+ million. I do want to say the number one thing with Jefferson, it's going to come down to if he wants to become the highest paid non-quarterback in the league, which is Nick Bosa, or if he just wants to become the highest paid wide receiver in the league, and that's right now A.J. Brown at $32 million per year. But Bleacher Report did write up a cool article suggesting about some more cap moves that the Vikings can make to clear up cap space, and they said an extension for Jefferson could create some extra cap 2024 cap space. He is set to earn $19.7 million base salary on his 5th-year option. And yeah, I do think if the Vikings are going to want to push back some of Jefferson's contract, I could see them getting creative where it's let's just say you push back Jefferson's 19.7, you get him on the books just this year, for $9 million. That opens up $10 million of free cash for the Vikes. And then also you got to think about this point. The Christian Darrisaw extension is also coming. He is going to want to be paid top 5 tackle money in the NFL. And the Vikings, yes, we're looking at the next couple of seasons, they have a ton of cap space, but Jefferson's going to get paid. Darrisaw is going to get paid. Eventually Jordan Addison's going to want to get paid. The Vikings are going to have a lot of big-time deals that they're going to have to cough up a lot of dough to. So the number one way to create cap space right now would be to extend Justin Jefferson. But number 2, and this is a minuscule move. This is not a big one where you could create, $10+ million by extending Jefferson, but to release or trade Nick Mullins. And this is what Bleacher Report had to say. They said, well, it wouldn't save a ton of cap space. Releasing or ideally trading quarterback Nick Mullins would be an easy decision. But between McCarthy, second-year quarterback Jaren Hall, and newcomer Sam Darnold, the Vikings would have solid quarterback depth even without Mullins. Though after watching so many QBs go down in 2023, including Kirk Cousins, Minnesota could be inclined to keep all 4. Releasing or trading Mullins would save $1.9 million in cap space. And I see no reason why to keep Nick Mullins on this roster. Sam Darnold's going to be QB1 week 1. J.J. McCarthy's going to be QB2. And then I'd rather take still a flyer, even though I'm not saying Jaren Hall is, franchise quarterback, but I'd rather take a flyer on a guy like Jaren Hall in comparison to Nick Mullins, mainly just because you could create $2 million by, either cutting him or trading him. So those are the 3 quarterbacks I would keep around, but at the end of the day, the Vikings are probably only going to keep 2 on their 53. It's going to be Darnold. It's going to be McCarthy. So I think Nick Mullins, I would be shocked if we get the final 53-man roster and he is on that list. So, they could easily free up $2 million there. But number 3, restructuring Brian O'Neill's deal. Listen, this one, I don't think it's too likely considering they made him, or not make him, but considering he restructured last offseason. But, Bleacher Report definitely thinks it has a chance here. As they say, the Vikings could also approach right tackle Brian O'Neill about another restructure. Minnesota restructured his contract last fall, but with his $14 million base salary, the Vikings could afford to do it again, though it would almost certainly push bonus money into future void years. And listen, I doubt this happens. The number one way for the Vikings to create cap space is you take that 19.7 for Justin Jefferson and you somehow turn it into $5 million and just backload his extension, over the next couple of years. But if you're going to go to Brian O'Neill again, ask him to restructure after he just did last fall, I just don't think it's going to happen. And, still the number one way. If you want to create more cap space and kind of not go all in on this season, but just make a couple other roster moves to help you get better, it's going to come down to extending number 18. But speaking about 18, are you guys concerned yet about Justin Jefferson not getting extended? Right now, I'm not at all, but once we get to that July 31st important date, those next 2 weeks after, I will be a little nervous. But you guys let me know. Y for yes or N for no. So let's just say the Vikings do extend Justin Jefferson. They make a couple moves, maybe a trade or cut Nick Mullins. They will have more cap space to spend on some free agents. So coming up in a second, we'll tell you guys about the top 9 still available. But first off, I do want to tell you guys about the sweet deal we have going on right now, where you guys can pick up a fresh new J.J. McCarthy jersey. Head to chatsports.com/Vikings jersey and pick up probably the hottest jersey that's going to be out there in U.S. Bank Stadium this season. I love it. He's rocking number 9. You guys can get him in the throwbacks, the whites, the purples, whatever it may be. But we just encourage you guys to click this link in the comments and description of today's show, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. All right, let's talk about the top free agents still available. If the Vikings do end up making these moves, maybe a big move could be coming. And the best free agent out there right now is Justin Simmons. And I don't think the Vikings will be making a move at the safety spot. You got Josh Metellus, you got Harrison Smith still. Cam Bynum's been great. And then, who knows with Lewisine, the first-round pick from a couple years ago, if he'll ever, finally take that next step up. But Justin Simmons, best name, but extremely unlikely for Minnesota. Number 2, a name that I could see, potentially heading our way is STEPHON Gilmore. And, the thing I would like the most about Gilmore would just be the veteran presence he would add to this young cornerback room. He's still pretty effective for Dallas last season. And, I've been a big fan of his game dating back to when he was with the New England Patriots. And still think he's got a year or 2 left in the tank. And, STEPHON Gilmore would be my number 1 choice if I could pick any free agent out right now. But maybe it's another corner, Steven Nelson from the Houston Texans this past season. And, I just think if the Vikings, I think you got 3 positions. If you're going to add in a new free agent before the year, you could either go cornerback, which is what I would do, or you go defensive tackle, or you go offensive guard. Those are only really 3 that I think the Vikings will make a move on. But, maybe it's wide receiver 3, but then I really doubt that. I think they like what Trent Sherfield will bring, especially in the run blocking game. But if you look at the Vikings cornerback room, they got a bunch of okay guys. They don't have any dogs, and I'm not saying Steven Nelson or Gilmore would be a true cornerback 1, but with where Minnesota stands right now, I just want another veteran in that room. To have guys like MEKHI Blackman and Caleb Evans just have a mentor in there, I think would be incredibly beneficial for them. But number 4 on my list, Connor Williams, the interior offensive lineman for the Miami Dolphins. He was a original guard when he was with the Dallas Cowboys, shifted to center when he got there to Miami. But, the Vikings definitely have a need at left guard. Blake Brandel was, supposed to be a swing tackle when he, came over here to the Vikings. But, played right guard a little bit last season, but that's not his natural position. And with the roller coaster Ed Ingram is, man, it's going to be tough for this interior of the offensive line to hold up, especially with how good, these D lines are in the NFC North. This is definitely the position group that's the weakest on the Vikings, and I think Connor Williams would be a great choice. But another Miami Dolphins, Xavier Howard, familiar with Brian Flores, big-time playmaker, good scheme fit for Minnesota. And I think Xavier Howard, he's necessarily one of those guys that, I think he has more talent and production that he could offer to the team than Stephon Gilmore and Steven Nelson. But I think those two guys would offer just a better, locker room help for the Minnesota Vikings. And, if I had to pick any of the names on screen right now to come over to Minnesota, I'm probably choosing Stephon Gilmore. And then number 2 for me would probably be Connor Williams just because they get that help at the interior of the defensive line. But, out of any of these guys, if they could somehow sign any of them, I would be all in on them, 100%. I think it would just be moves that would just help, get better football players in this organization. But number 6, Vikings player from last year, Dalton Risner. This is the one that I think is the most likely. He came out on Twitter saying he wants to be in Minnesota. So, Dalton Risner, I put him at number 6. Adoree Jackson for me is at 7. ESPN, they've linked the Vikings as the best fit for Adoree. It's a really good scheme fit with what Brian Flores likes to do. Obviously, Vikings, blitz more than any other team in the NFL. Adoree Jackson loves staying in press man coverage. So, for me, I got Adoree Jackson at number 7. And then Calais Campbell at number 8 for me. This is Father Time's only loss. I mean, this dude is 37 years old, and he is still incredibly, incredibly productive. I think he had some sort of swagger to the defensive line with the Vikings being more of a finesse football team under Kevin O'Connell. I would like to add a little more toughness, and I think Calais definitely offers that. Now, this is probably the biggest name on this list. Michael Thomas, Saints wide receiver. I don't think Minnesota would make a big move at wide receiver 3 considering what they did in bringing in Trent Sherfield, Brandon Powell. I like guys like Jalen Naylor as well to potentially step in. They also gave big-time money to 2 of their UDFA wide receivers. So I don't know if they would make a move at wide receiver 3, but maybe they say screw it. Maybe they say screw it, and we'll get the best wide receiver group in the NFL in Addison, Michael Thomas, and Justin Jefferson. But I just gave you guys 9 names. You guys just got to give me one. Name a player you want the Vikings to sign this offseason if they are able to create some more cap space by, extending number 18. And let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Also, if you guys would like to give me a follow on Twitter, I would really appreciate it. That's a handle right there at Pat Sieps. If you guys do so, give you guys a follow back. And thank you so much for watching. See you guys next time. Let's go Vikes.